Hey, friends. Hope the morning's treating you well. Hope you got your coffee. I got my coffee. It's today's my birthday. This is the third video I've recorded today. I'm recording this the night before. When you'll be watching this in the morning. I recorded this the night before. I don't want to spoil that for you or whatever, but I spent my birthday making videos, and I'm happy to do that. It was a good time. I'll talk about that more later. Also, started a new Patreon page. I will talk about that a little bit later. And I think the first thing I want to talk about is I heard that Sting sold his songwriting catalog and got a lot of money. And it's like, everybody's doing that. And there must be something that they know that we don't. I think it might be as simple. I don't think a Sting is being that old, but I think he just looks great. He's taking care of himself. And I'm sure you guys are looking up his age right now, but people are getting on with their life and they don't want their children to be fighting over the estate is all I can guess. And, I don't know, it's 300 million estimated, something like that. And it made me think about his catalog of songs. Now, I'm not a big listener of Sting's solo stuff, but I enjoyed the Police back when. I was never all in, like, oh, they're the greatest thing in the world, but always enjoyed them. And the last time I went to Nashville, I was putting together a playlist of stuff to listen to. And I just kind of thought about, I was like, what the hell, man? I'll put some Police stuff together. I don't know why I thought about that. Maybe I just heard a Police song and made me think about it. But I started putting together a playlist, and I'm expecting to have about 5 songs and just kind of a little greatest hits playlist I listened to. And man, it got pretty damn deep. There are a lot of classic Police songs. That's not even counting Sting's solo stuff. I really don't know much about his solo output. It just wasn't for me. But I was thinking about some of my favorite, Police songs, and thought if I had to make a list, the first ones that I go to, I wrote down a couple off the top of my head. I'm very, very unprepared today, so I apologize. But I think the first song I always go for when I want to listen to the Police is Invincible Sun. And I'm not, just something about the vibe of that. I really, really dig it. Nothing sounds like that. Nothing sounds like the Police. They definitely had their own sound. And then I would go to Spirits in the Material World. I dig that kind of stuff with the Police a lot. I can crank that up. And then for the later stuff, I really dig Synchronicity 2. And I love the references to the Loch Ness Monster in the thing as a younger, as a teenager or whatever. That I thought that was pretty damn cool. And then Wrapped Around My Finger. That's a song that aged really well. Like when you think of them at their height of being pop stars, like they were one of the biggest bands in the world right then. And I remember getting up in the morning to go to school, and I would turn on MTV and just let it play. I was getting ready. And that video for Wrapped Around a Finger would be, is it My Finger or Your Finger? I don't remember which it is. Wrapped Around My Finger. That video would play. I remember they filmed it by playing the song really slow and then recording the video in regular speed. And then that's not how they did it. They played the song really fast, the audio, and sang along to it while it was sped up. And then they slowed the video down to where the audio sounded right to play it back. And then they were in slow motion, but they were in sync with the song. Very clever and very effective. I always liked that. But something about that song, if I hear it on the radio or whatever, it always takes me back to being a kid getting ready for school. And I think that song aged really, really well. Just just the way I think, like Every Breath You Take, I realize that's an all-time classic that people will be singing for many years after I'm gone. That one never really was a big deal to me. For some reason that one didn't do it, but other songs off of that album were really great. What's your favorite Police songs? Do you dig the solo Sting stuff? And tell me about it. I never saw the Police live, but I do remember, man, I don't remember what tour it was. It was an early tour. They played, I believe it was at Market Square Arena in Indianapolis, and Joan Jett and the Blackhearts opened up. And I remember being downtown. I didn't go to the show, but I was downtown, and I saw Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, her band, come out of the hotel room and get into a vehicle, like to go to the show or whatever. And they were all wearing their leather, and their tight red T-shirts and all of that stuff. And that was probably the very first time that I ever saw Eric Ambel, Roscoe, in person. I know Roscoe watches this every now and then. So if you're out there, Roscoe, much love to you, man. But I swear when they came out of there and got into that vehicle, I was like, that is the epitome of a rock band. It just, to a kid, that was the coolest damn thing ever. But they were going to open for the Police. And what year would it have been? Maybe it was 80. It couldn't have been 82. I was just a kid. But, tell me what's your favorite Police song? What's your favorite, if you dig the Sting solo stuff? I was never, the things that never made me fall in love with the Police, which is really weird to say that because I'll turn it up whenever they come on the radio. So I shouldn't say I don't love the Police, but it's very rare that I would turn the channel when they're on. But part of what made them sound like they sounded was, Stuart Copeland. It's a very, it's probably not fair to say, I think of it as stiff and mechanical drumming. He's a great, great drummer. It's just not the sort of thing that I gravitate towards. It's kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum, but it gave them that feel big time. It's a huge part of their sound. And, you couldn't take him out of it and they'd be a completely different band. And, but I always really, really love the Andy Summers, that less is more guitar playing. He just really, really is an underrated guitar player. Plays cool stuff. Is always, I don't know, always playing the right thing. He just always sounds great. And I'm not a big fan of the chorus pedals from that era, but I believe he didn't use a chorus pedal. I believe it was a flange that he used to give that sound. And his never sounds terrible like a lot of the stuff from the 80s. And, the Police, those records aged well, especially some of those earlier to middle records. They sound cool. Like when you listen to Invisible Sun, you're just like, man, this is a living, breathing entity. This is something. But anyway, what do you dig? Or do you hate the Police altogether? And do you hate me for even mentioning them? I wouldn't be mad at you if you did. But drink some coffee here. I just got this book. It was a Stevie Ray Vaughan biography, Caught in the Crossfire by Nick Petoskey and Bill Crawford. I believe Nick wrote for the Texas Monthly, and I don't know. I like the idea of these people that were writing about stuff happening, like when he was probably writing about Stevie Ray when he was still in the clubs. I like the idea of that person doing a biography, and I'm curious about reading it. Have you read this? I figured if there might be a couple stories in here I might do a couple videos about, but I want to dig into it. The biggest thing that I was curious about that made me get it was since I did the David Bowie stories here recently, and Bowie always had great guitar players. I mean, great guitar players. The lineage is just when the different guitar players that went in and out of that band are pretty amazing. Adrian Belew, Mick Ronson, Stevie Ray Vaughan, You guys are kids or somebody I'm leaving out here that you guys are going to get real mad at me about. There were a lot of great guitar players that came in and out of that band, and if I was more prepared, I'd tell you all of them. But Bowie played on China Girl, and I really love hearing. Or I say Bowie played on China Girl. Stevie Ray Vaughan played on China Girl. I really love hearing the sound of Stevie against Bowie because they're two completely different animals, but they work perfectly together. But I was curious I remember the story about at the time about Stevie Ray Vaughan leaving Bowie's band had something to do with, it's always about money and something about how he wasn't allowed to promote his own records at the time, something like that. I always hear a lot of things that I don't know how much of it is bullshit. And I thought it's going to be in here. I'm going to read about that and get the real story and kind of looking forward to that. And I'm sure I'll learn a lot more. Have anybody read this? And maybe if something's good in here, I might make a video about it. No promises, but if there's something that strikes me in a certain way, I might make a video and tell a story from it. But let's see. It says this is when you read the Dust Jackets, you get what you get. But his blistering guitar playing breathed life back into the blues. Stevie Ray Vaughan fused blazing technique with deep soul in a manner unrivaled since the days of Jimi Hendrix, and the geniuses and passion of his music moved millions. It nearly saved his life. Anyway, I'm never read the back of the jackets, man. It'll make you not want to read the book sometimes. It's the thing that makes you supposed to sell it for you, but it makes me not want to read it sometimes. But as I'm looking at that, I'm remembering Ray Wiley Hubbard. I think this is a public story. I think he's told it to a lot of people, but he told me on microphone, so it's public. Ray Wiley Hubbard, when he stopped drinking and got sober and clean or whatever, Stevie Ray Vaughan is the one that reached him, that called him and was like, "Hey Ray, there's a way better life, man. There's a way better life." And he credits Stevie for getting to him. And Stevie Ray Vaughan would have known about the dark side of all that stuff. But Ray's been sober for a long, long time, and Ray is a freaking legend. And if you don't know anything about Ray Wiley Hubbard, go check him out. Go listen to a song called Mother Blues, and you can thank me later. Ray's great, and you should buy a bunch of his records. But anyway, that's enough about Stevie. I might, if something strikes me, I might make a video about that. I also wanted to say, I was going to talk about the Patreon thing. You guys have told me a few times over the last year, some of you have said, "Why don't you start a Patreon page?" I don't even know how to refer to it. A Patreon page, I guess, is what I have. Why don't you start one, Otis? It'll help us help you support this channel. And so I finally did it. I'm stubborn and finally got around to it. That thing is live right now. I'll put a link down below. I'll probably put it in the top comment down below. Patreon.com/Otis Gibbs, I believe is what it is. And you can pledge like $5 a month, $10 a month. There's like different levels or whatever. And that money will go towards making sure I keep doing this. I have to find a way to make this sustainable. I enjoy doing this archive and all that, but I have to find a way to make it sustainable. And with your help, we can make that possible. I just sounded like Betty White doing a PBS ad, didn't it? With your help, we can save the Otis Foundation. I did set it up in this way where I don't want money to dictate, like your financial situation. I don't want your financial situation to dictate your availability or your access to any of these things. So I just made it to where whatever level of support that you kick in on, everybody gets equal access. I thought that was a fair way to do it. It's an experiment. This whole thing's an experiment. We'll see how well this part of the experiment goes. And I may not even, the idea was I would maybe do one more talk like this week where you guys like these Saturday morning chats. I enjoy them. I might do one more and put it on Patreon so the supporters can watch one more a week. I don't know, man. Maybe I'll end up making that public if everybody, it just depends on what the people supporting want me to do. And, we'll see. But those of you who aren't part of the Patreon thing, that's fine, man. Hard times, and you may not, want to send money towards that, and I understand, but these days it's about the price of a coffee once a month. So you can buy me a coffee once a month if you want to. Anyway, enough of the Patreon stuff. I was going to mention last week, and I kind of ran out of time, that Pig Robbins passed away, and is a great piano player, like the greatest country piano player of all time, possibly. Lots of people smarter than me, have called him that. But he's the guy that played on He Stopped Loving Her Today, playing the piano. The White Lightning, I believe, was one of his first hits he played piano on with George Jones, Coal Miner's Daughter. The thing that really struck me was I got to interview Lou Bradley. Mike Bubb made it possible. Thank you, Mike. Lou Bradley was the head engineer of the Quonset Hut, and he was the one who engineered. He would actually record these great sessions. So he's the guy who recorded He Stopped Loving Her Today. He's the one turning knobs while it's going on, setting up mics and all of that. He was the head engineer. I interviewed him because Mike Bubb introduced me to him and made it possible. I still owe Mike for that. And we talked. I just asked him, tell me everything you can remember about that session. And we recorded, it's audio recording I have of that. I'm thinking about trying to find a way to share that. I haven't done one of the audio things where I throw the cats in the picture and all of that in a while. I might do that. But what brings it up in my mind was Behind Closed Doors, Charlie Rich. Lou Bradley was the engineer of that session. That was at the Quonset Hut with Billy Sherrill. And I knew that, so I went to, re-listen to that album before I interviewed Lou Bradley. I'm like, tell me everything you can remember about that album. And one thing I didn't know until maybe 2 years before that, I remember being at the Musicians Hall of Fame Museum there in Nashville. And if you've never been, you have to go. They even have a YouTube channel that's great. And I have a feeling a lot of you watch that channel also. Good for you. Jay is a dear friend, love him to death. And man, he's just one of the good guys. He's fighting the good fight and he's doing the heavy lifting. And you guys should support the Musicians Hall of Fame and Museum. But anyway, we were there and they have a piano that Pig Robbins played on Behind Closed Doors and a lot of other things. They had the piano there. And I remember walking through and looking at it. And I was there with Chuck Mead and his wife, Brenda Colliday. And Brenda's like the smartest person I know about any of this stuff. I mean, by far. Anytime I have a question, I said, Brenda, what really happened? And she freaking knows. And, all respect to her. But I remember looking and it said, Pig Robbins played this piano on Behind Closed Doors. And I was like, didn't Charlie Rich play the piano on Behind Closed Doors? Because Charlie Rich is a great piano player. And it turns out he didn't. Pig Robbins played it. I asked Lou Bradley, what was the deal there? And he's like, no, Pig played the piano. That great intro, one of the greatest intros in the history of recorded music. I mean, seriously, like top 10. Boom, 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 just a beautiful piano intro. That's Pig Robbins. And said they wanted Charlie to just sing. And so they, take a little pressure off of him. So they had Pig Robbins playing that. But he passed away. And I also remember Lou saying that he was having dinner once a week or lunch once a week with Pig Robbins and a couple other people. And I was like, man, I want to horn in on that. I really wanted to horn in on that bad, but I just didn't know him well enough to do that. But I thought, man, I want to get in on that and just sit around the table and, listen to these guys. Because these cats were there, and they made the magic. They really talk about making the magic happen. Pig Robbins brought a lot to the table. And anyway, I hope you guys will check out him. Just Google him and see a list of some of the songs that he played on, and then go listen to the piano and that stuff. Super talented, important person. And what else? I was going to talk about a couple other things, but I'm going to go ahead and save those. I check out the Patreon. I've already put up a couple things. I'll figure out, start adding some more things. We'll do more long-term or long-form talks like this if you guys dig it, which you guys appear to enjoy these things. And I don't know. I have this idea. I'm not going to say it out loud. I guess maybe I will. I like the idea of me getting up and talking to you guys every single day, like a big long-form thing. I just don't think I could do it, and I don't want to try yet. So maybe somewhere down the road, years from now, that's what this channel evolves into being, is me having talk radio or my morning TV show with you guys. It's not going to happen in the next 10 years, but it's a fun thought. Anyway, hope you guys taking care of yourself. Happy birthday to me. I'm going to go relax after recording 3 videos today and drink a little more coffee and scratch the dog's ear and eat some cake. Take care, you guys. Much love to you.